You think your problem is that nobody knows you. No, your problem is that nobody has a reason to care yet. And that truth is brutal because it destroys the easiest excuse a man can protect himself with. I do not have connections. I do not know the right people. Nobody opened the door for me. I was not born into the right family. I do not have mentors. I do not have access. Maybe some of that is true. Maybe you did start behind. Maybe other men had rooms opened for them before they even knew what power was. Maybe they had a father with influence, a friend with capital, a family name, a warm introduction, a safety net, a map you never received. But none of that changes the law. Connections do not create power. Connections amplify power. If you walk into a powerful room with no skill, no proof, no reputation, no offer, and no evidence that you can create value, the room will not save you. It will expose you. This is what most men do not want to admit. They are not angry because they lack connections. They are angry because connections would force them to face the truth faster. If someone important replied today, if someone opened the door today, if someone gave them the meeting today, they would have to answer the only question that matters. What have you built that makes you worth choosing? That question cuts deeper than rejection. Rejection lets you blame the world. Opportunity forces you to reveal your preparation. Machiavelli understood this because he did not study people as they pretended to be. He studied people as they are. Ambitious, conditional, self-interested, afraid of risk, loyal when it benefits them, supportive when it costs them little, impressed by strength, attracted to momentum, repelled by need. He understood that power built on the generosity of others is unstable. If another man can give you access, another man can remove it. If your position depends entirely on someone liking you, remembering you, recommending you, protecting you, or including you, then you do not have power. You have permission. And permission is fragile. A man who builds his life on permission must constantly monitor the moods of others. He must wonder who still supports him, who still believes in him, who still answers, who still has his back. He becomes careful. He becomes agreeable. He becomes easy to bend. He starts confusing being included with being valued. That is not strategy. That is dependence wearing clean clothes. So before you chase a network, build leverage. Leverage is what makes people need you. Leverage is what makes your name travel when you are not in the room. Leverage is what turns you from a man asking for access into a man bringing value to the table. A network without leverage makes you dependent. A network with leverage makes you dangerous. And leverage has 5 layers: skill, proof, visibility, offer, alliance. Most men reverse the order. They want alliance before skill. They want access before proof. They want visibility before competence. They want money before value. They want reputation before results. Then they call the world unfair when nothing moves. The world may be unfair, but unfairness is not a strategy. The strategic man asks a colder question, not, "Why will nobody help me?" but, "What must I become so that helping me becomes profitable?" That is where power begins. The first layer is skill, not passion, not potential, not vague intelligence, not the version of yourself you imagine becoming one day. Skill. A skill is not something you talk about. A skill is something that creates an observable result. Writing that sells, editing that holds attention, design that converts, sales that closes, code that ships, strategy that increases revenue, content that creates demand, messaging that makes a confused buyer understand why he should act now. A skill is a weapon only when the market can feel the value it creates or the damage it prevents. Many men say they are talented. That means nothing. Talent is private. Skill is demonstrated. Talent makes you feel special. Skill makes you useful. And usefulness is the beginning of power. This is where the weak man gets offended. He wants the world to recognize his inner potential. He wants people to see what he could become. He wants credit for the version of himself that exists only in his imagination. But the world does not pay for the man you might become. It pays for the result you can deliver now. This is why you must choose a skill that produces outcomes. If your skill cannot be measured, you will live trapped inside opinions. People will say you are good, but nobody will know what that means. Good at what? For whom? To create what result? In how much time? With what evidence? These questions are not small. They separate amateurs from professionals. If you are unknown, you cannot afford to be vague. A man with no network must be painfully clear. I help creators improve retention. I help founders turn landing pages into qualified leads. I help coaches write emails that sell. I help businesses automate repetitive work. I help YouTubers restructure weak ideas into stronger videos. Now you are no longer asking to be liked. You are entering the market with a weapon. But skill alone is not enough. Skill hidden in your head does not create power. Skill without evidence is still invisible. Skill without proof asks the world to trust you before you have reduced the risk. And strangers do not trust easily when their money, time, reputation, or attention is at stake. This brings us to the second layer: proof. Proof is the currency of the unknown man. When nobody knows you, proof must speak before you do. You cannot ask strangers to trust your ambition. They do not care. You cannot ask the market to believe in your potential. It has seen too many dreamers. You cannot ask powerful people to take a chance on you because you feel ready. You need receipts. Receipts are evidence that your skill created movement in reality, before and after. Numbers, case studies, teardowns, process breakdowns, client results, spec work, public analysis, anything that shows you can think, diagnose, build, improve, and deliver. This is where the unsupported man gains his first advantage. Because if nobody gives you a chance, you can still create proof without permission. You do not need a client to analyze a bad landing page. You do not need a boss to rewrite a weak sales email. You do not need a connection to break down why a YouTube hook fails. You do not need approval to rebuild a thumbnail, improve a page, sharpen an offer, or document a better strategy. The man waiting for permission loses to the man creating evidence. Most beginners ask, "How do I get opportunities?" Wrong question. Ask, "How do I create undeniable proof before opportunity arrives?" Because when proof exists, opportunity becomes less emotional. People no longer have to believe in you. They can see the evidence. Proof reduces uncertainty. Proof lowers the risk of choosing you. Proof makes your claim less fragile. Proof gives people a reason to care. Without proof, you are just another voice asking to be taken seriously. With proof, you become harder to dismiss. This is why I built the Patreon collection called Succeed, with zero support. It is made for men who are building without a network, without protection, without anyone coming to save them. Inside, there are more than 30 uncensored video lessons with a clear path for building skill, proof, leverage, and power when you have no support system behind you. The link to the collection is in the video description and in the pinned comment. Now understand this clearly. Proof does not need to begin with permission. Imagine a man wants to become a long-form YouTube editor for education creators. He has no clients, no contacts, no portfolio, no one answering his messages. The average man sees that and stops. The strategic man sees raw material. He studies 20 successful videos in the niche. He breaks down their hooks. He studies where tension is created. He studies how the first minute earns the next 5. He studies pacing, pattern breaks, visual rhythm, story structure, open loops, transitions. Then he finds 5 weaker videos in that same market. He does not insult the creator. He diagnoses the video. He rewrites the first 30 seconds. He restructures the opening minute. He explains what changed and why. He shows how the original delayed tension. He shows where the viewer would drop. He shows how to move the promise earlier. He turns each teardown into a public asset. Now he has proof. No one gave him permission. No one hired him. No one endorsed him. But the market can see how he thinks. That is the beginning of leverage. A man like this is no longer saying, "Please give me a chance." He is saying, "Here is evidence of how I create value." That is a different posture. That is a different energy. That is a different position in the hierarchy. Because need repels power. Evidence attracts it. Most men do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they remain invisible while waiting to be validated. They practice in private. They think in private. They improve in private. Then they wonder why the market does not reward them. The market cannot reward what it cannot see. A case study hidden in your laptop is not leverage. A result trapped in your private folder is not an asset. A skill nobody witnesses cannot build reputation. This brings us to the third layer. Visibility. Visibility is not begging for attention. Visibility is distribution. And this is where many men become confused. They think being visible means becoming loud, fake, desperate, or addicted to approval. They think they must perform for strangers, chase every trend, humiliate themselves for reach, and become whatever the algorithm rewards that week. No, that is not controlled visibility. That is dependency in a different costume. Controlled visibility means placing your proof in front of the right people, repeatedly, with discipline and intent. Not everyone. The right people. If you sell to founders, be where founders look. If you help creators, be where creators consume ideas. If you solve technical problems, publish where technical people search. If your buyers are on LinkedIn, go there. If they are on YouTube, go there. If they are in niche communities, go there. One platform first. One audience first. One clear signal first. Most men scatter because scattering feels like action. They post once on 5 platforms, get nothing, and complain that the market is saturated. The market is not saturated. Their signal is weak. Controlled visibility requires repetition. You need to become associated with a specific problem and a specific result. This man fixes retention. This man improves offers. This man understands buyer psychology. This man diagnoses why content fails. This man makes vague messaging sharp. This man turns skill into demand. That association does not happen because you posted once. It happens because you keep showing proof. Case studies, teardowns, playbooks, lessons, breakdowns, before and afters. Again and again until the market begins to remember you. Do not underestimate familiarity. Most men vanish. The man who stays becomes familiar. Familiar becomes trusted. Trusted becomes chosen. This is not motivation. This is market conditioning. You are training people to expect your signal. You are teaching the market what to associate with your name. You are making yourself easier to remember before you ever ask for anything. And that matters because the first time powerful people notice you should not be when you are asking them for help. It should be when they have already seen your proof enough times to understand what you represent. That is how reputation begins before fame, not through noise, through repeated evidence. But visibility without a clear offer creates attention without money. And attention without money becomes vanity. An offer is not what you do, it is what they get. This distinction decides whether you sound like an amateur or a professional. An amateur says, "I do video editing." A strategist says, "I help education creators increase retention by restructuring the first 60 seconds of their videos." An amateur says, "I do copywriting." A strategist says, "I help coaches turn cold leads into booked calls through sharper email sequences." An amateur says, "I design websites." A strategist says, "I build landing pages that turn traffic into qualified leads." See the difference? The amateur describes labor. The strategist describes outcome. The market does not wake up wanting your skill. It wakes up with pain, low sales, weak attention, bad conversion, wasted time, confused customers, low trust, poor positioning. No clear reason to choose one offer over another. Your offer must connect your skill to that pain. The formula is simple. I help this specific person achieve this specific result through this specific mechanism. Specific person. Specific result. Specific mechanism. That is how you become legible. And legibility is power. People do not buy what they do not understand. They do not trust what feels vague. They do not pay for confusion. A strong offer makes you easier to choose. And when you are unknown, you must become easy to choose. Not by being cheap. Not by being desperate. Not by saying yes to everything. But by making the value clear and the risk low. This is why proof and offer must work together. Your proof says, "I can do this." Your offer says, "Here is exactly what I can do for you." Now you are no longer just visible. You are commercially dangerous. Because you have skill, proof, visibility, and a clear path for someone to pay you. Most men never reach this point because they want the market to interpret them generously. They want people to look at their vague talent and imagine all the ways it could be useful. But powerful people do not have time to interpret your potential. They are busy. They are calculating. They are protecting their own time, money, and reputation. If you make them work to understand your value, they will move on. This is why clarity is not a small detail. Clarity is a weapon. A vague man is easy to ignore. A clear man becomes difficult to dismiss. If you say, "I help businesses grow," nobody knows what to do with you. If you say, "I help local service businesses turn missed calls into booked appointments using automated follow-up systems," now the market can place you. If you say, "I help creators," you are forgettable. If you say, "I help long-form education," creators fix weak openings so more viewers stay past the first minute, now the right person listens. If you say, "I do marketing," you disappear into noise. If you say, "I help consultants turn one strong idea into a full YouTube video that builds trust and generates qualified leads," now you have a position. The sharper your offer, the less you need to explain yourself. And the less you need to explain yourself, the more powerful you appear. Machiavelli understood the power of appearance. Men judge first by what they can see. They respond to signals before they understand substance. That does not mean substance is unnecessary. It means substance must be made visible. Skill is substance. Proof is visible substance. Offer is visible substance translated into desire. That is why a man with a strong offer can move faster than a man with more talent but less clarity. The market does not reward hidden superiority. It rewards perceived usefulness. This is where the unsupported man must become disciplined. He cannot afford to be mysterious. He cannot afford to be vague. He cannot afford to wait for someone else to explain his value for him. He must make his value obvious. Who do you help? What painful problem do you solve? What result do you create? What mechanism makes your approach different? Why should anyone believe you? If you cannot answer those questions in simple language, you do not have an offer yet. You have confusion, and confusion kills leverage. Only after skill, proof, visibility, and offer does the fifth layer matter. Alliance, not networking. Alliance. There is a difference. Networking is what weak men do when they need access. Alliance is what strong men form when both sides bring value. Networking says, "Please notice me." Alliance says, "We can both gain." Networking often comes from need. Alliance comes from leverage. This is why you must not rush into rooms before you have built yourself. A room full of powerful people does not make you powerful. It reveals whether you belong. If you enter with no skill, no proof, no offer, and no confidence built from evidence, you will shrink. You will become agreeable. You will laugh too much. You will tolerate disrespect. You will accept bad deals. You will confuse being included with being valued. That is the trap. Access without leverage turns into obedience. But when you enter with leverage, the dynamic changes. You are not asking to be rescued. You are evaluating exchange. You are not desperate for approval. You are looking for fit. You are not begging for opportunity. You are deciding whether the opportunity deserves your standard. That is the difference between a man being carried and a man negotiating. Power respects power. Men may praise humility, but they respond to strength, not loudness, not arrogance. Strength. The quiet confidence of a man who has built something real, the reputation of a man who can deliver, the presence of a man who can walk away. That is what makes alliances healthy, the ability to walk away. If you cannot walk away, you are not in an alliance. You are in dependence, and dependence is expensive. It charges you in silence. It charges you in compromise. It charges you in self-respect. It charges you in years. A dependent man tells himself he is being patient, but often he is only afraid to lose the one connection he believes gives him value. That is not loyalty. That is captivity. A man with leverage can respect others without worshipping them. He can cooperate without surrendering himself. He can learn from powerful people without becoming their servant. He can accept help without building his identity around being chosen. That is the difference. The weak man wants someone powerful to save him. The strategic man becomes valuable enough that powerful people see advantage in standing beside him. Now let us make this practical. Suppose you are starting from nothing, no contacts, no reputation, no audience, no clients, no one answering your messages. Here is what you do. For the next 90 days, choose one skill that can create measurable value, not 10 skills. 1. If you choose video editing, do not say, "I edit videos." Choose a market. I edit long-form YouTube videos for education creators who need stronger retention. Now you have direction. Study 20 successful videos in that niche. Break down their hooks. Break down their pacing. Break down their structure. Break down their transitions. Break down where attention rises and where attention dies. Then find 5 weaker videos from creators in that same market. Do not insult them. Diagnose them. Rewrite the hooks. Restructure the first 60 seconds. Create sample edits. Explain what you changed and why. Turn each one into a public teardown. Now you are creating proof without permission. Do this twice a week for 90 days. You will have roughly 24 public proof assets. Then build a simple portfolio. Not beautiful, clear. Who you help, what problem you solve, what proof you have, how your process works, what your offer is, how someone can contact you. Then begin outreach. But do not beg. Send diagnosis. Say this: "I watched your latest video. The idea is strong, but the first 30 seconds delay the core tension. That may be causing viewers to drop before the premise becomes clear. I made a short breakdown showing how I would restructure it. That is not begging, that is value entering the room. And if they ignore you, good. You still have content, you still have proof, you still have repetition, you still have signal. Every ignored message becomes another asset if you are intelligent. This is how the man with no network starts building one without begging for it. He becomes useful in public. He becomes visible through proof. He becomes specific through his offer. He becomes credible through repetition. Then connections begin to form around value, not need, value. This is the cleanest form of power. Because nobody had to save you. Nobody had to discover you. Nobody had to invite you. You built the reason. And this is the truth most men avoid. You do not need more people in your phone. You need more reasons for serious people to take you seriously. A contact list is not power. A follower count is not power. A handshake is not power. A room is not power. Power is the ability to create outcomes people value. Power is proof that travels when you are not present. Power is a reputation that makes people less afraid to trust you. Power is an offer clear enough that the right buyer understands immediately. Power is the ability to form alliances without becoming owned by them. That is leverage. And leverage comes before network. If you want the complete roadmap for building this from nothing, join the Patreon collection. Succeed with zero support. There are more than 30 uncensored video lessons inside, built for men who have no support, no network, no protection, and no one coming to open the door. The path is clear. Build skill, create proof, become visible, sharpen your offer, form alliances from strength. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. The men who understand this stop complaining. They stop staring at other people's advantages. They stop worshipping access. They stop asking why nobody helped them. They start building the kind of evidence that makes help unnecessary. Then, ironically, help begins to appear. Because people are attracted to movement. People are attracted to strength. People are attracted to proof. People want to be near what seems to be rising. That is human nature. Nobody wants to carry dead weight. But many people want to attach themselves to momentum. So your job is not to chase every powerful person you can find. Your job is to create momentum so visible that the right people start calculating the benefit of knowing you. That is cold. That is real. That is Machiavellian. So stop saying you have no connections. Say the truth. You have not built enough leverage yet. That truth hurts, but it gives you control. Because you cannot control who opens the door. You cannot control who replies. You cannot control who introduces you. You cannot control who believes in you early. But you can control the skill you build. You can control the proof you publish. You can control the signal you repeat. You can control the offer you sharpen. You can control the standards you enforce. And when those things become strong enough, the network stops being a gate. It becomes a multiplier. That is the order. Skill, proof, visibility, offer, alliance. Memorize it, build it, obey it. Because the world does not reward the man who waits to be chosen. It rewards the man who becomes too useful, too visible, and too proven to ignore. You do not lack connections, you lack leverage. And the moment you accept that, you stop being a victim of closed doors. You become the architect of your own access. So do not beg to be introduced. Do not pray to be discovered. Do not envy the men who were invited. Build until your evidence enters rooms before you do. Build until your name means a result. Build until your work becomes your messenger. Build until choosing you becomes the obvious decision. That is how a man with no network becomes dangerous. not because people helped him, but because he became impossible to dismiss.